Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us back once again. I hope everyone had a good refreshment. Now we are going to discuss the effect of Ayurveda in management of dysbiosis. We have with us the CEO and founder of Jeevaniyam Ayurveda Hospital and Research Center. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Reshmi Pramod.
Hello. Namaste. A warm good morning to one and all. Thank you, Master of Ceremony Sarah, for giving a great welcome and an introduction. And this great opportunity, I take it as a privilege, and my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Alia Rehab Center for giving me an opportunity to present the great Indian system of medicine, Ayurveda, and the effect of Ayurveda in the management of dysbiosis in children with autism, and giving special reference to bifidobacteria. Okay? So, this is the first study in the world in respect to Ayurveda and also in the management of autism spectrum disorder. And this work has been done by a great team called as 𝐻𝐼G𝐻 team, which has been headed by the principal guide, Dr. Dinesh K.S., the head of Department of 𝐶𝐼𝐻 VPSV Ayurveda College, and the team included mentors, followers, scholars, technical team, and it was a privilege for me also to be part of this great team and do a novel study in the management of autism as well as in dysbiosis, which is a common symptom or a common condition in autism children. Okay? So, with introducing my great team, I would like to present the presentation, which is a short concept of the great work of the 𝐻𝐼G𝐻 team. Here today, I'm just going to present a short communication of the great work, and we know that autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder which is characterized by triad of impairment with stereotypic behaviors, deficits in social and language, speech and language deficits, isn't it? And now, it has been a global concern because the rates are alarmingly increasing around the globe. Even in the developing nations, it has been increasingly, I should say, very alarmingly after COVID pandemic. And it shows an epidemic ahead. So it's our responsibility to take the situation very seriously and try to understand what are the pathogenesis physiology, the biological process, how we can support the affected individuals, the families, and caregivers in a more scientific and structured approach. Am I right? Am I right? Yes. So we'll see how the great Indian system has been supporting the parents and also the children through 𝐻𝐼G𝐻 protocol. Okay? So we know the worldwide accepted therapies which the parents follow around the globe is, as all you know, is speech therapy, ABA, behavioral therapy, speech and language, educational therapy, occupational therapy, etc. Isn't it? But unfortunately, the various therapies give less importance to various etiological factors like maybe the genetic factor, the metabolic factors, the digestive factors, and also the toxicologies, the various etiologies which has to be studied in detail. Okay, so in this context, the people around the globe have been using complementary and alternative medicines for to address the various issues or the issues like the digestive, maybe the metabolism or whatever. So we know that traditional medicines is unique to each nation because it is cultural dependent. And as we know, the traditional medicines like Chinese medicine, acupuncture, naturopathy, dietary interventions, homeopathy, Ayurveda are all well commonly used by the global population in addressing ASD. And in India, we should understand that around 35% of the population use Ayurveda as a complementary and alternative medicine, and also 30% of the doctors also practice Ayurveda as the means of medical practice. Okay, so that is the importance of calm, and we know calm is becoming very popular, and 80% of the population affected with autism around the globe are using one or the other sort of calm practices in addressing ASD. And here, Ayurveda has a pivotal role in the management of autism. Okay? So, we know the triad of impairment, and it's well known, and we also give the parents often give importance to the therapies to improve their speech, the behavior, or the sleep patterns, etc. But we have to understand the physical conditions which are very prevalent in ASD, like constipation, bloating, nausea, diarrhea, flatulence, irritability, gastroreflexes, esophageal reflexes, etc. Isn't it? Most of the children have any of the symptoms in any of the days. Maybe the child will be constipated for some time, and maybe the child may be having food allergens or irritability like this. Have you experienced? There are parents also, I think, So you might have faced these challenges regarding nurturing your child. So, and among these symptoms, also various conditions like leaky gut syndrome, ileocolitis, mesenteric lymphadenopathy, dysbiosis are also very common. And you have to understand that dysbiosis is the most common and is seen in 80% of the subjects who are affected with autism. And that is the relevance of this study. Okay, so now to this global audience, with great privilege and pride, I would just like to give an overview of the great Indian wisdom of Ayurveda. Okay, so you all might have known or experienced Ayurveda. It's a way of life. It teaches you how to have a healthy living and also in harmony with the nature, isn't it? So, according to Ayurveda, to have a health and also to preserve your health and also to manage any sort of disease at the primary level, nothing needed to be imported from outside, but just your ethnic culture or the ethnicity has to be revitalized. Okay? And what is the beauty of Ayurveda? The science just not treats your human body as a combination of many cells or many physiological functions happening, or rather as a matter. But when we address a condition, we also take into factors like space, the time, the origin,
your environment, your birthplace, your socioeconomic background, your cultural background, all these factors are considered while addressing any sort of illness. And we know in the management of autism also, we should give high importance to all these factors, isn't it? The psychosocial element of the entire family, the social background, all has to be considered, and Ayurveda takes into consideration all these aspects, and this study is a novel approach in addressing dysbiosis. Okay, so I think you have got a good introduction about the Indian system of medicine as well as also the prevalent conditions in ASD, which has to be known more seriously. Can I go forward? Okay, fine. So the study, you know, it's a randomized controlled clinical study, and of course, only after approval from the institutional ethical committee, we could conduct the research works, and this study with rigorous prior trials and review from the institutional ethical committee of VPSV Ayurveda College, the study was registered under clinical trial research study, and the registration number is also been mentioned in the study, in the slide, sorry. Okay, so this is a open labeled, randomized, controlled clinical study on the effect of bifidobacteria, which is a short communication, which I'm going to detail here. Okay, so I told the study or the presentation here is about dysbiosis. So we'll just see what is dysbiosis. Anybody knows what is dysbiosis among the parents here? Can anybody answer? Dysbiosis, have you heard about the term? Yes or no? Yes, okay. So, yeah, we know it's the disruption of the various species and genera of the, or the alteration of the gut microbiota, and dysbiosis plays a pivotal role in the management of ASD. Okay, and we all know well that the research world is beyond the understanding the relation between the gut and the brain, how the gut-brain axis theory and how the microbes play a role in the gut-brain axis, and also in various immunological functions, endocrinology functions, about digestive function and metabolism also. So we all know now our intestine has, what I should say, we have around 55 trillion cells, isn't it? But we should know that our gut or the GIT contains 3 times more than the cells. So who's more powerful, isn't it? So we should understand the role of the microbiomes in maintaining a healthy gut and also a healthy living ahead. Okay, so dysbiosis is, I think you have understood what is dysbiosis. So we know in addressing the altered gut microbiota, we have been using various prebiotics and probiotics, and we know the benefits of the prebiotics and probiotics in improving the good bacteria and colonizing also and things. But here, this study is to understand or to show the population or the globe, the scientific world and the affected population, a more comprehensive approach which is appreciable, which includes polyherbal drugs, activities of daily living, and lifestyle guidelines. And here, what we are trying through Ayurveda guidelines and the various principles which I have just told now is to create an ecosystem where there is a balanced microbial flora and also a healthy gut and a healthy brain. Okay, so that's the beauty of Ayurveda and this study also. Okay, fine. So that is the background. And so the aim of the short communication of this entire work of the Agastya team is, which I'm going to present here, is to understand the effect of the improvement in the bifidobacteria before and after the treatment in the both test group and the control group, and also in the secondary or the long-term aim or the objective of the entire Agastya team is to understand and evaluate what are the impacts on this Ayurveda protocols in the entire, not just on the gut level, but at the psychosocial aspect, not just a child, but of the entire family, and improving their overall well-being. Okay, so we'll see how this comprehensive approach is going to help each one of us scientifically. Okay, so now the study methodology. So the study, as I told, was conducted in VPSV Ayurveda College, 𝐶𝐿 in Kerala. All of you might have heard about 𝐶𝐿. Okay, 𝐶𝐿 has become very popular as a synonym of Ayurveda itself. So, and I have been privileged to be an alumni of this great college, VPSV Ayurveda College, 𝐶𝐿. And here, after getting the ethical clearance, the registration under CTRI, the entire Agastya team was given a detailed study, I should say, how to do the screening, assessments, enrollment, allocation, the risk factors, how to psychoeducate the parents, how to collect the data, and the various stages. Okay, and then the subjects who have been diagnosed with autism based on the DSM criteria 5 and also doing the CAS assessment, the parents were educated and also getting the informed consent and following all the guidelines. The subjects were randomly classified based on computer generated random designing in the ratio 1:1 into test group and control group. Okay, and the test group was given the Ayurveda polyherbal drugs, and in addition to that, the dietary interventions, parental training, and also the multidisciplinary therapies like speech therapy, behavioral therapy, occupational therapy were also given to the test group. Okay, and to the control group, it was given only the interdisciplinary therapy, and we had assessed what was the impact on the drugs. And we'll see it. We'll wait and see it. Is it interesting or boring? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay, so then we had done the exclusion criteria. All subjects, all children of both gender between the age group of 3 to 12 were included in the study, and we had made it very sure that the children had the same background from the same ethnic community, so that they had the same food habits and also the same backgrounds. Okay, and we didn't include or exclude. We had excluded from the study children who were using anti-epileptic drugs or were using any other medicines for the management of autism, including Ayurveda, and also who had comorbid conditions like cerebral palsy, intellectual disorders, or any paralysis, coma, etc. Okay, so this is the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And now what I explained in the trial methodology, this is very clear in the table given, which shows the trial schedule. You will see the things like the columns, enrollment, screening, assessment, what all were done, those it is marked into marks. So we had collected what the Agastya team was given the training, and the subjects after who were willing to undergo the enroll, they were done detailed physical examination and the preliminary screening. In addition to the CAS, we had done the gut severity index, and also we had also done a AMA questionnaire, which is based on the Ayurveda principle to understand the digestive capacity, fecal output, the state of the gut, etc. Okay, and then 16S rRNA gene sequencing was also done at all levels from the baseline, interim, and also in the final period. Okay, so in the group intervention, it included the baseline and after treatment interim period and the follow-up period. The polyherbal medicines were given, and the assessments were also done in the baseline, interim, and the follow period. In the test group, you can see in the next slide that the schedule, the trial or the test group and the control group. The test group, Ayurveda medicines like we had used in this study, 2 medicines mainly. Rajanyadi Churna and Villuadi Gulika, which were given based on the Ayurveda posology from the baseline and to the next month 30th day. And then the follow-up was taken on the 60th day. That was given in the test group. And in addition to the Ayurveda polyherbs, dietary interventions, various that I'll detail in the coming slides at the end. The Ayurveda feeding practices, Ayurveda culinary, I think those areas will be interesting to know. And the parental training, which also I would explain how we had done and how it was the impact during the COVID pandemic, how it had helped the global audience in managing the children at home during the lockdown. Parental training, and also the interdisciplinary therapies, which we are also very known, like sensory integration, OT, speech, behavioral, etc. Okay, so this is an overview of how the study was conducted. Is it very clear, the methodologies? Okay, fine. So the various stages which included in the study, the first was data collection. So in the data collection, we had collected all the data, preliminary data, physical information, the paper pencil checklist like CAS or GI severity, all were recorded in the paper pencil format and documented. And also, in addition to this, stool was collected in sterile premises and stored in the refrigerator at minus 40 degrees centigrade to have to get the cold chain disrupted. And it was transferred to the Med Genome Lab for 16S rRNA gene sequencing and further analysis. Okay, so that I'll discuss in detail about the 16S rRNA gene sequencing in the primary and secondary outcome. Okay, so the data collected was managed by the Data Management Committee, which was the IEC itself, and also all data collections, data management, everything was followed following the guidelines of Helsinki's Declaration, good clinical practices, and controlled clinical trial ethics and all disclamations. Okay? And the data monitoring. So for any adverse effects or whether the subjects were included from the same ethnic background, all these things were monitored from the day one to the follow-up and continuously by the pharmacovigilance unit of the Vaidyaratnam PS Warrior College. Okay, so this is the intro how we have done. We have divided the subjects into test group and control group. The test group got all the interventions, including the Ayurveda medicines, polyherbal formulations, dietary interventions, parental training, and the interdisciplinary therapies, while the control group got only the interdisciplinary therapy. And the assessments were done at the 0th day, 30th day, and 60th day. Okay? The studies, it is very simple, no? Yeah. So what here I am going to present you, I think bifidobacteria we know is very common, and it's highly significant in ASD. What is its role and the significance in the ASD symptoms, how the improvement in the bifidobacteria helps to reduce the secondary symptoms is all well studied. Okay, so this was the background itself. So how Ayurveda, the medicines will have an impact on the bifidobacteria was one of the part of the Agastya work. The other lots of works are done in respective to the dysbiosis and the other management in the ASD. So this graph, the OTU graph, it's known as the operational taxonomic unit, which is a molecular biomarker, and the alpha rarifications has been plotted. And you know that the blue graph shows before treatment, red after, and the saffron at the follow-up. Okay? And the graph shows very well that in the follow-up group, the alpha rarification is more, the taxonomy has increased, that the bifidobacteria, the tax has increased after follow-up in the test group. Okay, so this was our observation and finding at the end of the study with perspective to this short communication. Okay, so what we had done during the study procedures is very interesting. So You all know about phylogenetic tree, isn't it? Have you heard of phylogenetic tree? In the classification, it looks like a tree, and there are various bands where the entire organisms, it is classified in the form of a tree, and one of the branch, we should say it's a V1, V3 band. Okay, and this band represents the entire bacteria group. Okay, so in this study, in the primary outcome which we assessed was to understand the entire microbiota in the intestine, or through the V1, V3 analysis, we had studied through 16S rRNA gene sequencing, alpha diversity and beta diversities were assessed. Okay, so that was the primary outcome of the study, to understand the how with these all the protocols, the Ayurveda polyherbs, all the other ingredients, how the entire microbe flora has increased. Okay, so the secondary outcome is specific to the bifidobacteria, and that has been well explained through the OTU graph. So this is the primary and secondary outcome which it is part of this short communication. Okay, so the next is the result. The result I have simplified very well through 3 graphs. The graph 3A denotes the abundance of the bifidobacteria in both test and control group after treatment. Okay, figure 3B, it shows in the follow-up period in both test and control, and in the figure 3C, it's a comparison of the control group after treatment and follow-up. So in the comparison, we can understand that in the control group, in the follow-up period, the graph has declined. Okay, so what are these points? That is the interesting thing which I had to share. Okay, so from the after treatment 30th day, when the OTU plot was assessed, or the what had happened to the bifidobacteria, we could understand that both in the test and the control group, there was abundance. That means it's not just the polyherbal medicines which has attributed to the abundance, but the activities of daily living, therapies, the standard of living, all have a role in improvising our gut. Okay? So, but in the test group, what we noticed is, even after the withdrawal of the polyherbal medicines, the graph was enriched, or there were more abundance, or it was optimized. But in the control group, it was not there. That means, with the help of this polyherbal medicines, Vilwadi Guliga and Rejanyadi Churna, the ecosystem has been optimized, or an environment has been created where there is a balance between all the microorganisms in the intestine. Okay, so here when we had in this study, we had done specifically what was the impact of the bifidobacteria by giving the polyherbal medicines and following the other protocols. But it is very interesting to know that the Vilwadi Guliga and Rejanyadi Churna, the polyherbal formulations which we had used in the study, as a pilot study, now we were done the V1, V3 analysis of these medicines also. Okay, and what we could understand is that these medicines contained diverse species, genera, and phyla. Okay, it included good bacteria and also the so-called bad bacteria, including the lactobacillus, clostridium, and also bifido and the good bacteria also. But in the end, when these medicines were given, which had diverse bacteria called microbial colonies, what we could understand is, it was not like giving the medicine and like how the prebiotics or the probiotics act, the concerned species or genera is optimized, but in spite, there is a diversity of the microbial in the formulations also. The plant Ayurveda medicines not just works on the phytochemical reactions, but also on the plant microbial reactions. Okay, so we could understand that this effective approach helps to create an environment where there is a balanced ecosystem of the entire microbe. So, if you are following these practices, it's not just helpful to manage ASD, but each one of us can preserve our physical and emotional well-being. And that's the greatness of the Indian wisdom Ayurveda. Okay, so this is about the what the research works. So now I would like to go into the clinical application of Ayurveda in the management of autism. Okay, so as I told, we have to do various researches in knowing the etiology regarding the genetics, toxicology, metabolism, digestion, how Ayurveda works at the biological, it works at two levels. One is at the metaphysical level, which includes mostly the integrated therapies, all these things like that. And the second one is at the biological level, which includes at the bodily level, the soma, which is known as the sharira. Then second at the psychic, mana, which contains various treatments and procedures for correcting the higher mental functions, sensory processing, sleep disorders, cognition, etc. And the third entity is the Atma. Okay, so here the word Atma, when you understand, it has nothing to relate with the philosophical background, but it is the consciousness. Okay, and for Ayurveda clinician, consciousness is nothing but it is the energy. Okay, and how we can channelize the energy? It's by tuning the biological rhythm. Okay, so I'll explain at the bodily level how Ayurveda treatment protocols are going to help you. So we know at the bodily level, the children have various physical conditions, constipation, bloating, all these things. So at GIT level, and they have poor appetite or they are picky eaters, food allergens, all these are the day-to-day worries of the parents of autistic children. Okay, so the various Ayurveda formulations which helps to correct the digestive mechanism and the metabolism, and here we do the blood routines to understand the changes in the metabolic markers like serum ammonia, serum lactate, serum pyruvate, serum amylase, and we have seen tremendous changes in all these biomarkers after following all the practices. Okay, here you should understand that when you're doing the Ayurveda treatments, therapies, or the diets, the standards of living, etc., we should give equal importance to the therapies also. So together when we are doing at the body, they were seeing the very important changes at various levels. So coming to the gut level or in the koshta, we have a unique concept known as ama. Okay, so ama in Ayurveda means the waste products or the undigested food particles which circulate in the body, and these are the various endogenous toxins and which have been noted by the metabolic biomarkers with the results from the blood routine works in respect to serum ammonia, lactate and things. Okay, and then we also know various exogenous toxins like increased level of mercury, lead, alumina are also very common, isn't it? So the people practice chelation therapy, but after some time again the level increase and it's a tedious procedure also. So the various Ayurveda treatments work at the cellular level and then correcting the the metabolism, the endogenous and the exogenous toxins. We say at the koshta level, at the dhatu level, it corrects the cellular metabolism. Okay, and then comes the brain pathogenesis. We know the various brain pathogenesis like microgyria, polygyria, mini colon pathology, all can be just what managed by various Ayurveda treatments like Shirodhara and other sensory diets, which I'll explain in detail. So these treatment procedures helps to correct the sensory processing. That's also the biggest challenge, isn't it? Why our child is different, we should understand. It's because of the difference in the sensory processing. Here, each one of you is listening to me and you're understanding me because all your senses, your vision, your hearing, tactile system, proprioception, vestibular, all are working in a synchronized manner. But the children under the spectrum have different sensory processing, and this makes them unique, and this is the biggest challenge which the professionals face and the parents face. So Ayurveda treatments has been very beneficial in correcting the sensory processing, sleep patterns, and at the higher mental functions. That is what is known as mana or psychic. And third one is the consciousness, that is correcting the biological clock or the biological rhythm. Okay. So what is biological rhythm? That is, there is a rhythm, or all the cells or the functions, the glandular functions, the immunological functions, all at the cellular level is working in a rhythmic manner. And this rhythm is very much synchronized with the circadian rhythm, isn't it? But our children, we know their sleep patterns are interrupted, they are toileting, all these are not in a proper manner or the timely basis. So by doing all these steps in a step-by-step manner, our aim is to correct the biological rhythm and thereby make the child more independent or be part of this social world. Okay? So this is the clinical application of Ayurveda at various levels, at the body, psychic, and consciousness. Is it interesting? Okay. So now I'll just tell about Agastya. Agastya, as you know, is the name of a saint. Okay. And here the acronyms: A stands for Ayurveda herbs, G for gut therapy protocols. Okay, so these two things I'm not going into the details because we have already Ayurveda polyherbal medicines, correction at the gut therapy protocols for correcting the detoxification procedures. All these are included in the two abbreviations. Okay, and then ACE, Ayurveda standards of living. So we'll understand what is Ayurveda standards of living. So in the beginning itself, I told you the traditional medicines are always connected to the civilization or the cultural background. So Ayurveda, all the things which has been mentioned in the classics has been tailor-made to the Indian population. But we can customize it understanding your cultural background, your habitat, your food, your mental stamina, your physical stamina, your birth origin, all the factors, we can revitalize this. Okay, so Ayurveda standards of living includes what one has to practice in harmony with your seasonal regimes. So here basically for the children with autism, we teach the parents at least to maintain 6 timely protocols. That is, to keep a time for wake up, sleep, toileting, brushing, food habits, and the exercise and the other activities. So when there is a routine maintained, the rhythm will be automatically corrected. Okay. So, and also the feeding practice, the dietary habits, we all know, we are all familiar with the GFCF diets. But in addition to this, according to the Ayurveda principles, the Tridosha principles, the Pitta dosha and the Vata dosha is highly aggravated. Okay, so we follow or we customize understanding the constitution of your child, and based on, I told the earlier other factors also, the dietary habits, and you have to understand it's not the food. The people will ask, I'm doing Ayurveda, can I give meat products? There is no harm. Okay, but the only thing is we should know how to prepare the food for your child. Okay, you can give the meat products, there's no harm, but the mode of preparation is mostly important. It doesn't mean what you eat, but the real thing what matters is how you eat and how you cook it and when you eat it. Okay, so I'll tell you why we should know when we eat it. In the Ayurveda standards of living, we tell the parents to keep a minimum. Here now what is happening, the parents tell, when I ask, do you feel it's a child having the proper appetite? We are not giving the time for a child to get hunger. We feed immediately after getting up some drink, maybe containing badam milk or almond milk or oat milk, and then after 2-hour gap some cereals, porridge, and then in the afternoon maybe rice, chapati, lentils, all these things. Again after 2-hour gap, maybe some other snacks, protein bar. So are we giving the time to get digested? And we complain the child is not eating properly, isn't it? So here my humble request is, let your child feel hunger. When there is a need, automatically the child will try to communicate in one way or the other. And then you can give various verbal cues. So what will happen? The language area will develop. So are we giving the opportunity for expression? We have to think seriously. Okay. So, and what we do, even we do the mistake. The biggest mistake all of us do regarding our dietary practices also, we follow healthy eating practices during the daytime, but at night we have a huge dinner and go to sleep immediately. Okay, that is the biggest mistake even I do and most of us do. But there are people who follow very strictly and I really respect them. Okay, so why we should not eat the food and go immediately to sleep? What is happening is we should understand all the channels which circulate our end product or the nutrients. In Ayurveda, there is a beautiful concept known as srotas. Okay, or srotas are the biological channels through which the nutrients are circulated. So when you sleep, the channels shrink. Okay, so what will happen? All the metabolites will get stored or get hampered there and it becomes a waste product. You understood? So always make sure there is a minimum gap of 1.5 hours between the last dinner and the sleep. Okay. And the other thing which we do not give importance in the activities of daily living is toilet training. Okay. The parents complain what? She doesn't sit for even 10 minutes. If we practice continuously for maybe minimum 21 days, any practice, the child will learn it. So in some cases, it may take more time. Here we have to understand why your child is not able to sit. It may be due to tactile sensory issue. So the toileting training has to be modified. You understood? So try to understand what is the challenge your child is facing. Okay. So this is the Ayurveda standards of living. And then the component is the training for the parents. So during the lockdown period, all the Ayurveda physicians and mentors, followers, all were giving good help to the parents across the globe, I should say. Even Jeevaniyam has been supporting through online the parents around the globe, giving the parental training. Okay, it's a workshop even which we conduct for the parents. So here we train the parents in various minor sensory procedures, which acts as good sensory diets. Okay, you have been giving sensory integration therapy for your child, tactile integration, auditory integration, vestibular integration, and these are the various areas which the parents face and we work on the daily basis in our therapy centers, isn't it? But along with this, various Ayurveda treatment modalities like Nasya, which you know is smearing of medicated oil into the nostril. It's a good olfactory stimulant. Okay, so it helps not just to correct the olfactory sense, but also it enables in the speech and language development, cognition. Okay, then we have various other treatment procedures like avagaha, that is making the child sit in a medicated water, which is in a tub with the hip immersed, and it's a very sensory diet for reducing the hyperactivity. Okay, then tactile integration. The child doesn't like to touch or doesn't like to be hugged, facing difficulty to comb the hair or cut the nails. We have a good Ayurvedic sensory procedures called Udvartana, which is nothing but massaging with Ayurveda medicines in a particular fashion, which has proven to be a good sensory tactile integration, for sensory tactile integration. Okay, then various other treatments like Shiradhara, Takradhara helps to correct the sleep patterns, reduce anxiety and the other psychological problems associated with autism. Okay, and then we had given the yogic assistance also. What's the importance of yoga? We all know it creates a harmony. The parents who are nurturing the children, you should understand, when in the really OPD basis at Kochi, I take care of the parents especially, and my team members take care of the children. It's not that I don't take care of the children, but from my experience, what I realized that if the parents are not positive and happy, whatever they do, they will be even it's like that. If you don't have a happy mind, we will be doing for the namesake, isn't it? It will be a mechanical process over and over, and when we don't see the outcome as we expect, we feel frustrated, isn't it? So we should understand the quality of life of the parents. So as part of the Agastya study, other than the bifidobacteria or the V1, V3 analysis of the polyherbal, all these things were a part, I told. We had during this training period, we had taken the quality of life assessment of the parents, and it was very interesting that after doing these training programs, there was remarkable improvement in the psychosocial aspect of the entire family. Okay, that is our long-term aim, and this is the beauty of the great science. Okay, so along with the training for the parents, yoga was also taught for the parents, and the children were observing that when the parent was doing. So what happened? The observation capacity has increased, and some children have started imitating, and the siblings also started practicing, and there was a routine for the entire family. Okay, so these are all the results or the outcome of the Agastya protocol, which is being tailor-made in accordance with the wavelengths of the Ayurveda principle. Okay, so we'll understand we know as a complementary and alternative medicine, we have the Chinese medicine, naturopathy, various traditional medicines are there, but with great pride, I would say that Ayurveda is one among the best complementary and alternative medicine in the management of autism spectrum disorder. Okay, why I will tell you. Did you ever know that our universe is non-linear? Do you know what you mean by non-linear? Yes, that is, we cannot equate something like to a simple mathematical equation. We know the result, 1 + 1 = 2, isn't it? But the properties and what is happening in the universe, we cannot predict or calculate like this simple mathematical equation, isn't it? So universe is non-linear. Human body, we know we cannot predict what is happening in the human body at various levels and stages. So it's non-linear. Autism, you know, it's non-linear. It's having heterogeneous conditions, isn't it? It's non-linear. We cannot tell. Each child is unique, isn't it? So it's non-linear. And Ayurveda is non-linear. So what I told is correct, no? Do you disagree? Do you disagree? No. So we can proudly say that Ayurveda is a promising hope to the management of autism. Okay? So that is how I saw. In the concluding, I would like to conclude with what all things now I have told in the short period. That is, from the beginning, I will just encapsulate all the points. What is Ayurveda I have mentioned? So what is the beauty? How Ayurveda deals? We have to understand for all diseases, to preserve the health and to manage the health, we have to have a good gut, isn't it? So we know the connection between gut and the brain, or what between the body and the mind, you should say in another word. So the Ayurveda is surely a holistic, comprehensive approach for creating an environment to have a balanced state of all the microbiomes, which is highly influential in the various metabolic, immunological, endocrinology, and neurological functions. So we will all try to practice what Ayurveda preaches, not just the medicines, but a way of life, and have a healthy life ahead and a prosperity. Okay? So before concluding, I would like to express my acknowledgement to Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, New Delhi, for funding this research work, and the VPSV Ayurveda College, Kottakkal, Dr. Dinesh KS, who is the Principal Guide, HOD of 𝐶𝐼𝐻, Kottakkal Ayurveda College, and the entire 𝐴ഗസ്ത്യ team for taking the first step for a novel study, and I should say the first study in the world with respect to Ayurveda, a randomized clinical control study in the respect to dysbiosis and the management of autism. Okay, so before expressing once again heartfelt thanks and gratitude to all the audience, the organizers, Rania ma'am, Heidi ma'am, and all the other members who have been taking hard effort to do this international conference and giving me the opportunity, I would just like to conclude by conveying the take-home message that gut is a Pandora's box. Okay? So, what do you mean by a Pandora's box? The mystery has to be still unknown, isn't it? So, by hearing this, the trillions of microbiomes residing in the GIT and influencing various functions. Earlier, when we come across GIT, when we know something, it is connected with our digestion, food, and things. It's beyond that. It's really a mystery. What is happening in a healthy gut and a diseased gut? We have to still explore and understand the impacts of gut, not just in maintaining a homeostasis or correcting the microbiomes, but in having a healthy life ahead. So, with a great quote from Ayurveda classics, 𝐼𝐻𝐼𝐻 𝐼श्വര്യ यदा लोकांश्चु शाश्वतान्. May health, wealth, and eternal fame be always there in this world. With these great words, I would like to conclude my humble talk. Thank you all. Thank you once again. Was it boring or interesting? Interesting, no? So if you have any doubts, so I'll show you some videos of some treatments also. Yeah, I'll just show the videos of some treatments so you'll have a better understanding.
Thank you very much for this very informative lecture. And I believe now we came to know that Ayurveda can help in autism and can help in all other diseases. and your explanation was very clear to us, and I believe we can benefit a lot from Ayurveda in curing this kind of autism and other feelings. Thanks a lot for what you have given us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the appreciation and the support. So this is Udvartana, which I mentioned earlier. The volume is not getting, sorry. Volume. This is Abhyanka. I think most of you are familiar with the word Abhyanka. It's oil massage, which is very highly beneficial for correcting the psychological process as well as calming and things. Sorry, unfortunately, we are not getting the audio.
No, is it available online on YouTube?
Yeah, no, not in YouTube.
Because if it is, we can put it there. Here, the problem, if you put HDMI, the audio will not come.
Can you
you
share
have
it?
any Wi-Fi here so I can share to this?
He has the Wi-Fi.